Good morning, my friends. Good morning, my friends. We continue today with part three of our exploration of everyday immortality. So this series is the evolution of a previous series called The Mystery of Death, and before that, a series called Spiritual Solutions for Existential Anxiety and the Fear of Death. All of this is sequential. So, whilst you might enjoy this conversation, if you've been here all along, I think it's good to maybe go back and see how this conversation has been unfolding. So I'm very happy to see all of you. Elvira from Romania and Robert John and Gabriel Castillo. Thank you for joining me as usual. And let me know if the sound is clear and the image is coming clearly. And if it is, then let's continue on this topic of everyday immortality. Because if you can learn to live at that level of timeless being now and forever, then you will have the experience that you are a timeless being and that your experience is one of that of immortality. Your experience is one of that. And this is very liberating, because then you can not only choose the experiences you want to have every day, but you can actually construct them, which is what we do anyway, but we do it unconsciously. So today's lesson number 3 in Everyday Immortality, I would like to share 3 major principles with you. And they're all kind of related, okay? They're all related. And I'm looking at my notes, so here we go. The first principle in today's lesson is that the seer watches the world come and go. You are the seer. The world is the scenery. The seer watches the world come and go, but the seer, the sorcerer, the sorceress, the sage, the awareness that you are, dwells in the realms of light. You, as the seer, dwell in the realms of light. These realms of light are the realms of the light of awareness. Photons do not have color and are not bright either. Photons are human constructs for another human construct called electromagnetic activity. And inherently, electromagnetic activity does not have either brightness or color. The brightness and color come into existence in awareness, in being. So the seer watches the world come and go, but her soul dwells in realms of light. Soul is the unit, one aspect of infinite awareness, but infinite also by itself. The soul is infinite because the spirit is infinite. The waves can come and go, but as water, they're infinite. The rainfall can come and go, the clouds can come and go, but as water, the essence of the rainbow, the sunshine, clouds and the sunshine, as rivulets and puddles and streams and whirlpools, water remains water, only its expressions change. You are the seer watching the world come and go, the scenery come and go, but as a soul you dwell in the realms you do not change your location because you don't have a location. You're beyond all locations in space and time. So you don't change locations, you only change, as we've said, states. And these changing states include changing sensations, changing perceptions, changing images, changing thoughts, changing feelings, changing ideas. And so every shift of state ceaselessly and eternally changes the scenery. The scenery changes, the seer remains the same. And finally, the third principle, your body is just the place your memories call home for the time being. Your body is just the place your memories call home for the time being. The body is the intermittent stream of sensations and perceptions, never a constant, but you know it as the body. You know it as the body because of memory, because you interpreted those sensations and perceptions, or rather they were interpreted, those sensations and perceptions, by you, and now you're a product of that. You call it the body, you call it the mind, you call it the world, just because you learned to interpret sensations and perceptions through human constructs. But reality is more than human constructs. Reality is that which gives rise even to human constructs. Reality is that which gives rise to even human constructs. Anything you have a name for is a human construct except consciousness. So consciousness also is a word, it's a name. But without consciousness, you would not invent any other word. So even though we invented the word consciousness to denote the source of all experience, the source of all experience is entangled sensations, images, feelings, perceptions, thought. Consciousness by itself is not a construct. We use the word though, so we might think it's a construct, but it's the basis of all constructs. Without consciousness, there's no construct, and without construct, we do not have what we call the human universe. The human universe is everything you can give a word for that was originally part of human imagination, but wasn't real. So, money, Wall Street, latitude, longitude, Greenwich Mean Time, on and on. These are human constructs that make our existence as human possible. Without these human constructs, no jet planes, no internet, no FaceTime, no Skype, no Facebook, etc., etc. Everything today that we take for granted as reality is actually a human construct, conceived, governed, constructed, and coming into existence in human consciousness. So that's all very fine. We can live with these constructs that I am a body, I am a mind, I am the world, the experience of the world. We can live with these, and life goes on till a pandemic strikes, a virus shows you, COVID-19 shows us how fragile human structures are, including political structures, ideological structures, financial structures. We are now having to relook at our assumptions about reality and also about constructs. And that happens, by the way, periodically when people are looking at the possibility of existential threat. So that's why we're exploring reality, and that's why I am going back to some of my old notes from The Way of the Wizard, and of course there's always, I've explored all this recently in much greater detail on how to go beyond the prison of the intellect and encounter a true self, which is meta-human. Meta beyond the human mind, beyond the constructs, beyond imagination to the source of all imagination, beyond thought to the source of all thought. So let's read a little bit from my notes right now. I'm reading some notes from Way of the Wizard. Every state of being, from the finest and most immaterial to the grossest and most solid, depends on the observer. If we wanted to, we could dissolve this solid page. So this is a solid page. If we wanted to, we could dissolve the solid page into nothingness as follows. This page is made of paper. Paper is made of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms. Atoms are bundles of energy at the quantum level, and bundles of energy consist of 99.99999% empty space. Since the distance between one atom and the next is quite vast, proportionately greater than the distance between the Earth and the Sun, you can only call the page solid if you're also willing to say that the space between us and the Sun is solid. And it is, because it's brimming with virtual particles and huge amounts of energy. This experience of turning solid-seeming things into nothingness can also be reversed. Starting with empty space, you can build up energy bundles, atoms, molecules, and so on, up the chain of creation until you arrive at any object you want to, including your own body. So from everything, you can go to nothing, and from nothing, you can go to everything, including your body, the book, the page, and the universe. Starting with empty space, you can build up energy bundles, atoms, molecules, and so on, up the chain of creation until you arrive at any object you wanted to, including your own body. The hand that turns this page is a cloud of energy, and the only reason you can feel your hand or can feel the page is through an act of awareness. You can't have any feelings without awareness. Other energy bundles, such as the ultraviolet light surrounding you, totally escape your notice. Thus the world comes and goes entirely dependent upon the power of perception. You were created as a seer in order for the world to exist as a thing to be seen. Without a seer, there is no scenery. Without eyes, the world would be invisible. Now take this understanding and go a step further. Everything on earth is nourished by the sun, which is just a star. The food you eat was converted from starlight, and as you eat it, you create a body that has the same source. In other words, to eat a meal is just the act of starlight taking in starlight. This light, although it assumes many forms, from swirling gases to quasars to a rabbit nibbling clover, is just one light. One light. It has no location, but it is everywhere. You seem to have a location, but that is true only because you are right now engaging in the supremely creative act of turning the universe of light into a single focus called your body and your mind. So the world exists because of you. The world exists because of you. Is that not a miracle, that the world exists because of you? When you understand that you are the wizard, that you are the seer, this magical reasoning can be taken to the ultimate. If sight made the world visible, then as a seer you must ask, who or what is the creator of sight? Who saw the eye before the eye saw anything? The answer is awareness. The seer behind the eye is just consciousness itself giving birth to our senses so that they can give birth to everything around us. This isn't a metaphysical mystery, even though if you've not thought about it, it seems like one. Inside a mother's womb, the embryo is born as a single cell with no senses. Then it evolves into multiple cells that clump into specific regions that concentrate on one function, and eventually that function emerges as eyes, ears, tongue, nose. This process is called morphogenesis and differentiation. Morphogenesis, to give rise to form. What gives rise to form? The formless. Morphogenesis and differentiation. How the one becomes the many. How the one becomes the entire universe. How the one is actually you. You are the one. And all you have to do is shift a little digital code in the matrix of being, and all entangled sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, perceptions shift along with their interpretations. An eye does not look at all like an ear, but their different forms are deceptive. All your senses were contained in that first fertilized egg in the form of coded information. Information is just awareness made manifest in storable form, like this book. This book is information. If you didn't know what a book was, you'd just say it was a collection of marks, squiggles in some strange code, when in fact it is a channel for one awareness to communicate with another. So that's what we're doing. Awareness knows itself as both the seer and the scenery, the observer and the observed. The biological organism is part of the observed. The body-mind is part of the observed. It's the appearance on the screen of consciousness. So if you get this, then there is no need to learn anything. All you have to do is remember. There is no struggle to learn anything. All you have to do is remember. And how do you remember? By being the silent witness. The silent witness is called Sakshi in Sanskrit. Drishta. Darshan is what you see. Drishta is that which is seeing. Or Drishti is the act of seeing. Darshak is the ultimate seer. All is you. You are the universe, pretending to be a human being. Ram Das, one of our greatest friends, would say, we are all God in drag. So once you get that, there's nothing to do. In being is the whole solution to mystery. In being, not in feeling, not in thinking, not in conceptualizing, not in imagining, just in being, watching the universe turn like a spinning wheel. And how does it do that? Through change of state. The observer changes and the scenery changes. So today, let's be a silent witness. Let's be a Sakshi. Let's be a non-judgmental observer of our own self. When you are a non-judgmental observer of your own self, that means you observe without judgment your reaction to react. You observe without judgment your thoughts as they come and go on the screen of consciousness. You observe feelings as they come and go on the screen of consciousness. You observe perceptions as they come and go on the screen of consciousness. Sounds, colors, taste, smell. Just be the silent observer, called the Sakshi. The silent observer of your own self. Because your body is a modification of yourself. Your mind is a modified form of yourself. The scenery is a symbolic expression of yourself. Everything that we experience is a symbolic representation of the self. The self is the silent witnessing awareness, just observing. And then once in a while, a subtle intention in that awareness. That subtle intention is called dharana. the process of getting to the silent witness is called dhyan, meditation. And the destination is samadhi, transcendence. But it's also the other way around. Samadhi is transcendent, timeless being, modifying itself as the experience that we call the mind, the body, and the universe, the changing experience. Subtle intention, seeded in the field of infinite possibilities, samadhi, transcendent reality, the source of all existence, the source of all thought, the source of all perceived existence, because pure consciousness is actually pure existence. So you can go either way. You can start from the perceived and get back to the perceiver. You can start from the perceiver and go to the perceived, and ultimately realize that both the perceiver and the perceived are co-arising and co-subsiding in what we call awareness. So, you've heard that famous story. Last night, I, Lao Tzu, dreamt I was a butterfly. This morning I woke up and I was thinking, am I a philosopher dreaming I was a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming I was a philosopher? And the answer is you're neither. Both the butterfly and the philosopher and everything else are part of the dream. That dream is called Jagat Mithya, Jagat Mithya, world appearance. And the world appearance is a constantly shifting state of being. That's it. The witness is even prior to the state of being. And at one point, at some point, the witness also goes. And all that's left is infinite being, which is who you are. Timeless, infinite being. And if we can make that the internal reference point, then we are living everyday immortality, and we have liberated ourselves from the field of karma. This should be the goal. Once liberated from the field of karma, you have infinite creativity. And infinite possibilities, all entangled, all in superposition, that can be turned into another possibility just by the flicker of a switch. And the switch is in consciousness. Think of God, if you want to, but not as a personal entity, but as an infinite being with a digital workshop somewhere in the matrix. And that digital workshop is coded with 0 and 1, and these codes can be flipped, changed infinite times to give rise to infinite universes with infinite sentient beings and infinite modes of observation and infinite sceneries, all in this digital workshop in cosmic consciousness. It's a metaphor, not because everything is a metaphor except consciousness. Everything is a symbolic representation or metaphor. So that's it today. Let's take lesson 3 as our lesson today for everyday immortality. And I'll repeat what the 3 principles are. The seer, the wizard, watches the world come and go, but the wizard's soul dwells in realms of light. The scenery changes, the seer remains the same. Your body is a fiction. It is a place that memories call home. Learn this lesson. Go back to previous lessons if you want to. If you don't, if you want to continue in the state of sleep, which is the waking state, ordinary waking state. That's a privilege too. In fact, it's an amazing movie right now. What you're watching, the world, including your body, is an amazing movie. And that in itself is something to be wonderstruck, awestruck, bewildered about. But if you want to go deeper, then you have to go beyond the superstition of matter. No scientist has ever shown the existence of a substance called matter. You do not have access to a physical universe or a physical body. You have only access to your perceptions and their interpretations within a very narrow band of illusory experience. The body itself is an illusion, as is the world, and one illusion goes along with the other illusion. The fact that it's an illusion doesn't make it less real because it feels real. The earth feels solid. The earth feels flat. The ground feels stationary. So does your body, but it's all wrong. It's all a lie. So these magical lies are the basis of what we call everyday reality. But everyday reality is not reality. Everyday reality is the projection of the light of awareness, which is infinite and which is you. You are the light. You are the way. You are the truth. But you is not your body mind, which is part of the projection. You is infinite being, curving back within itself, eternally and now as infinite manifestations. So this is where I am, and many requests to speak out against this or that, but why speak out against anything? Time to bring in the light instead of fighting the darkness. Okay, thank you, my friends. Until tomorrow, be well. God bless.